everyone, it's Melody with Design by Melody. I have my Felicity Jane Kit here. This is the Susie kit, which is actually the January 2016 kit. And I wanted to share with you a few things before I start making my first layout. What I did after the last video, which was posted on Monday, is I took everything out of the kit and I kind of disassembled it in a sense. So I cut apart the cards, and I actually left this one together as a 4x6 card, so I have two 4x6 cards, and then the rest are 3x4 cards. I made sure all my little sequins was in this little pillow box to keep it together. I cut apart all of my stickers from the sticker sheet. I really like this. I actually find it therapeutic to kind of trim out stickers. And what I did is I left a small white border on every sticker. That way I can trim it to be exactly how I want it whenever I'm actually using it. Some of these I'll leave the white border on when I use them, and some I'm sure I'll actually trim that off. So I trimmed out all of my stickers here. I have a whole pile of them right here to the side. I'm laying out all my embellishment. I have my wood veneer, I have my flare, I have my little acrylic pieces, I have my vellum hearts over here off to the side, which you actually can't see in the frame, but they're right here. I have all my stickers down here in this pile on the very bottom. I have my stamp set, and then on this side I have my 2 bags, my doily, and my letter stickers. Then of course I have my stamps and the rest of my paper. So when I start a kit, this is kind of how I start. I lay everything out, I choose a few pictures that kind of match the colors. I thought this one was a very clean and crisp photo, which would go with the very clean and crisp colors in this kit, and then I start from there. Now, there are a couple different parts of my process that you don't see in my normal process videos, and that's kind of the design part of it. There are lots of different design rules that you can follow or use as guidelines. I think naturally we do those to some extent. We do what looks good to our eye, which typically is what falls into one of those design elements. So I'm just going to share with you the thought process I have for this layout. I thought it would be helpful to those who are new to scrapbooking, or maybe those who are used to scrapbooking but maybe have found that their style has gotten a bit stale. So typically the way that I typically scrapbook is I have my 12x12 paper, and I use what's called the rule of thirds. Now, I don't have any formal training in this whatsoever. This is just what I've learned through scrapbooking and watching different videos and reading different magazine articles and everything. Well, the rule of thirds is where you divide your paper into thirds. You have it divided this direction, and you also have it divided this direction. And these points where they intersect, or really anywhere on that third line, is where your eye or is what your eye uses as a focal point. So let me share with you a layout that follows this. Alright, these are 2 layouts that are going to be shared probably in a couple weeks once I'm done with my Felicity Jane Kit. But as you can see, this follows the rule of thirds. The focal point, if you use an imaginary line here, this is a third and this is a third. And so those focal points, this photo is on that third. Same thing here. This is a third and this is a third, and I've lined up my nephew's eye on this third line. And really this one falls in the intersecting points of the top third and the right third. So that's kind of how that one is. And I do that naturally, not necessarily with thinking about it. I usually move my photo around on my page trying to see where it looks best, and then that's kind of how I scrapbook. Now, this photo is a little bit different. Most of my photos don't have the subject of the photo facing straight towards the camera, and this one is. This is a very centered photo. He's right in the center of the photo looking straight at the camera. So this is a very centered photo. So like I said, this is typically how I scrapbook, just because that just seems natural to me. But this one is a little bit different. I'm going to use a centered layout. And I've decided to use these 2 papers. I'm using this Swiss Dots basil paper. I think it's called Swiss Dots, but it's just the embossed polka dots. as my background, and then I'm going to use this on top of that. And I don't know if I'm going to take it all the way to the top or if I'm going to leave a little bit of a border, but I'm going to make this layout very centered. I'm going to make it so your eye flows straight down the layout. It doesn't have to jump from side to side or follow a diagonal or go in a visual triangle, all of which are design rules or guidelines. This one is going to go straight down. It's going to be a centrally themed layout. And I'm going to use different elements like this border strip. This is actually the border strip that was at the bottom of the cut apart page. I'm going to use things like that and the different embellishments to kind of embellish this layout, but also still keep it very central. Now, obviously I haven't done the layout, but my thought process is that anything that I add to one side, I'll try to balance it on the other side so that it stays very symmetrical, very central, not weighted on one side more so than the other, or on this side versus that side, or even top versus bottom. I've even written out my journaling, which I'll do here, and I'm going to try to use that to offset the weight of the photo at the top. So, as I mentioned, I started scrapbooking, and I used YouTube videos to kind of teach myself the scrapbooking rules or methods or ideas. And one of the things that really helped me is when people described what they were doing and why they were doing it, why they chose to do it. So I thought that this year I would really try to make a point to share those things with you, because that's just how I learned, and I thought it might be helpful for some of you guys. So I'm going to go ahead and jump right into this layout. Stay tuned so you can see how it comes together. One more thing before I get started on this scrapbooking page, and I'll post a picture of this at the end of the video. The discount code has actually changed a bit. The code is still the same. It's still Melody, all in caps. It's still 10% discount off of your first month, whether it's a one-time purchase or a subscription. However, the January kit is now sold out. It actually sold out, I think, on... Let's see, I think it sold out on the 15th. But either way, she contacted me from, Gina from Felicity Jane contacted me, and we decided to go ahead and just make the coupon code run from the 1st of February to the last day of February, or until the February kit sold out. So whichever comes first. So if the kit ends up lasting to the end of the month, then they'll still, this 10% discount code will be good to the end of the month. Otherwise, it'll just be until the February kit sells out. And like I said, I'll put a picture of this at the end of the video since it's changed a bit. The parameters have changed a little bit, the dates have, but the code and the discount amount are still the same. Alright, so actually getting to the layout now. First thing I'm going to do is trim down my photo a bit. Whenever I print my photos, I order them from Snapfish, and I have a white border printed on them, but sometimes actually probably like most of the time, the white border is not exactly the same around the whole side of the photo, so I always trim that down if need be. I'm cutting apart my papers a bit, and I decide to go ahead and keep this paper from the top to the bottom, flush at the top and the bottom, and then just trim a bit off the sides. Now, I need to replace the blade in my trimmer, which is why you see me kind of snipping off a little bit extra there off the edges. It's because it has a little bit of a, just not as clean of a cut, I suppose you could say. And I go ahead and trim my border strip just like I told you I was going to. I find that kind of separates the photo from the rest of the layout, and I definitely wanted there to be a little bit of something between the photo and the journaling. Those are my two major parts of this layout. I really like this bright pink against the teal, but it's just a little bit too much. Since the rest of the layout is white and teal with pops of black, I thought that the pink was just a little too bold to have on there directly. So I decided to go ahead and cover it up a little bit with this kind of grid-like paper. It reminds me of an Excel spreadsheet for some reason. Yeah, call me a dork, but that's what it reminds me of. Anyways, so this is where I'm actually going to write my journaling. Excuse me. And I am going to do this in a Sharpie pen. I found that it just seemed a little bit bolder, and it needed to have a little bit of dark weight here to the bottom of the layout, since I have that dark black scallop as well. So one thing I decided to do as I was actually writing my journaling, and I messed it up here, so I'm cutting myself another piece, and I will use that one that I messed up on in another layout. I just didn't work for this one because I messed up the journaling. So, but one thing I decided, because I wasn't exactly sure how the journaling was going to end, I kind of bounced the line back and forth. I indent the line every other line. It also kind of plays off the back, the colors on the card itself or on the paper itself, because it goes from teal to white to teal to white to teal to white. So the bouncing line kind of almost mimics that bouncing back and forward type of thing. And what my journaling says is, the title is Look at This Boy. And my journaling says, beautiful, daring, curious, cautious. One look and I see all that in his face and eyes. Beautiful with his wild curly hair and tan skin. Daring, ready to try anything that looks like it might be slightly fun. Curious, wanting to know all the details, and cautious because he's still our little boy. This photo tells me a lot actually about Kaylin. It was taken shortly before my dad actually passed away. We spent a lot of time down in Charlotte visiting my family during that time period. And we really got to, spend just a lot of time as a family. And this picture was taken one day while him and my nephew were outside playing basketball. It was a pretty day that day. And I really like how, there's a bit of a picnic table behind him that you see, but I really like how it's just the trees, because it was in March. So I really like how it just has the trees with no leaves on it in the background, and then you've got him. You kind of see the silhouette of his hair, and then you see his dark eyes just kind of staring at you in the camera. So I really like how this captures his face, just his look, his personality. So I really wanted the journaling to be a little bit more than just, hey, have fun playing outside. Which I don't mind those type of journaling at all. I actually probably do that more often than I should. But I wanted this to be a little bit deeper. So true to what I told you at the beginning, I am trying to balance everything on one side with everything on the other side. Now, originally I said I didn't want it to bounce back and forth, and it's not really bouncing back and forth. However, just to make it look more visually appealing, it's not going to be exactly symmetrical from one side to the other. There's not going to be a heart at the top. I put the heart at the bottom, the pink heart to offset the black heart. And there's a few other things that are going to be just like that. Now, that teal heart off to the right, I didn't have another heart that I wanted to use, so I'm going to offset this cluster with another one around that paper clip on the other side of the journaling. And so I'm trying to make sure that there's enough weight on each side of the layout. I have those two doilies that I used to layer under where the hearts are in the corners of the photo in the journaling. And I'm definitely balancing out the colors from one side to the other. And I'm going to put the title right here, kind of left justified or so, on the top of my journaling spot. And this is also going to add to the cluster that's on the left side of the journaling. This is going to be what offsets that cluster to the right with the flare button. Now, just to tell you what all the little words say, the little pink word strip at the top says real life. And the flare button says heart this little minute, and then there's a black and white tab that's going to go right under that. And then of course you see the teal heart, and then there is a teal word sticker that says today I ... excuse me. And then at the very bottom there is going to be a black arrow type of word sticker, and it says dream big. And that is going to, as you can see, the top left cluster has the doily, the black heart, and the pink word sticker. And then at the very bottom, the cluster is going to have the doily, a pink heart, and then a black word sticker. So it kind of uses the same elements to balance out on the other side. Now, balance is not the topic, the design topic we're talking about today, but it does have to do with it whenever I'm talking about a central layout, because I want this layout to be balanced from one side to the other to stay with the true centralized design technique that I'm using here. I wanted that title to sit right on top of my journaling spot, because otherwise it looks like it's floating a bit, and I don't like that. So I'm using the alphas that came in the kit, and then I'm adding these silver ones from there. I purchased them at Hobby Lobby, and you know, I add a few things to the kit. I add the doilies and then these letter stickers, but I really don't add a whole lot other than that. And if you check out my coordinating blog post, which I will link in the description box below, you'll be able to see some more still photos of the layout, as well as a more descriptive listing of the things that I added to the kit. And just so you know, in case you are interested, those blog posts, I have one that coordinates with every layout or every video that I make, except for my haul videos. I don't usually make a blog post to go along with those, but there is a blog post for every other video that I create. So if you ever have any questions or want more information, just go check out that blog post, and it goes up this exact same time as the video. And so what I'm doing, I'm actually this looks a little odd now that I'm looking at it, but I just backed my photo with a thicker piece of cardstock. I wanted to make sure that the cardstock didn't dip in between the foam stickers. And these foam squares are actually a little bit more adhesive dimensional than what I normally use. And so I wanted to make sure that my photo was going to be able to withstand the height of that foam square. Now, true to me being of this layout being centered, I wanted to make sure that I did indeed line it up centered. So I'm using my Tim Holtz ruler here. This thing's real handy, by the way. If you don't have one, I highly suggest getting one. Okay, by the way, I'm in love with these stickers, like this sticker sheet. I can't remember. I think I may have said this already. I don't remember. But I would totally buy just the sticker sheet by itself. Maybe that's something Felicity Jane should offer, is just the sticker sheet. So they already offer the stamp set separately, and I don't use the stamp set in this layout, but I use it a lot in the next two, by the way. The stamp set is awesome. They already sell that separately, so if you want to just purchase that on its own, you totally can. And I actually bought two, remember at the beginning, if you watched my unboxing video on Monday. But the stamp set's awesome, just like I said. And then the sticker sheet is the next best thing. I wish you could just get the sticker sheet on its own, because I'm using it like crazy. And now that I've been working with it, I used 2 sheets of paper in this layout. And I cut into another one with using the green and white journaling spot, and then I used one of the cards, the back of one of those cards. So I'm gonna say I'm gonna fly through this paper. There's not gonna be much left, and I may have to add something. I think what I'm gonna end up doing is doing a Project Life video though, because I can use those cut apart cards without having to use a lot of the extra paper. It'll make my kit last just a little bit longer. This is where I decided there wasn't enough weight on the other side of the title to offset that cluster with the teal heart and the flare badge. So I'm making this small cluster right around the title, because the title itself adds a little bit of weight as well. And it is left justified to the edge of the journaling spot, basically. So that's gonna go right there. So I needed something black down here to kind of balance out the black heart at the top, and that's where I add that dream big arrow. And then I am going to add, right now I have a teal star right on the other side of the title, and then a little small heart on a little square sticker as well. And then I'm going to add, there's also another little circle with a black circle with a white star drawn in it, so that's going to also go right there beside the title. And we're pretty much getting done with this layout here. I'm going to do a quick recap at the end, so stay tuned so you can see that. And then also there is going to be some still photos at the end, as well as a picture of that discount code that you can get. So don't forget about that discount code. I did try to add a flare badge here, but it was just too much. This layout did not need 2 flare badges, but this is where I add that little black star, and that pretty much finishes the layout. So stay tuned for a little bit more information. Okay everyone, I've completed the layout, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. So I did exactly what I said I was going to do. I have the photo at the top with the journaling at the bottom, and I ended up popping both the photo and the journaling up on pop dots because I used this paper clip and it was making the edge of the journaling pop up a bit. So the only things that I added to the kit were this silver stickabilities, 7/16 of an inch hand-drawn alphas in silver, and they're by the Paper Studios at Hobby Lobby. And then I did add these 2 doilies. Now they are a little bit different. I would have preferred that they were the exact same doily, just to, you know, help with the cohesiveness across the layout. But I didn't have 2 of the exact same ones. Well, I did have 2 of the exact same ones, but they were not a true white, so I decided not to go with those. Excuse me. My page is very centered. I kind of wish it was a little bit closer together, but either way I'm still very pleased with how it is. It's very centered. I have balanced everything out. This heart is balanced out with this darker element down here. This star balances out the black and white flare here. I've got the lighter teal with the darker teal. We've got a little bit more here with a little bit more here, like this paper clip kind of offsets this tab. It was the only other thing I had to offset. I have the heart down here, the heart up here, the doilies, a little bit of embellishment right here, and a little bit of embellishment right here. So it's very thoughtful in exactly how I place this layout. I helped use this what do you call this, manufacturing strip to kind of separate the 2 parts of my layout. However, I'm still keeping it very centered, especially with the fact that it doesn't go all the way to the end. This one kind of goes off a little bit to the right, and this one kind of goes off a little bit to the left, but down, and this one goes up a little bit. It's still very, very centered. And that was my goal with this layout. You don't always, or at least I don't always, start with a plan and end with the exact same result, but this one actually stayed pretty true to what my original design plan was. Please let me know if you have any questions. Like I said, I plan to try to do a little bit more explanation of my layouts this year, just to help those who are new or who may be stuck or just need something fresh to start with. So keep an eye out for that in my upcoming videos. This is the first layout that I'm completing with my Felicity Jane kit. I have packaged up my kit here, ready to go for the next layout. And then, like I said, take a look at the blog post if you'd like to see a couple more still photos of this layout, and just read a little bit about my process. Alright, thanks guys, have a great day, and I will talk to you later. Bye!